Welcome back to our conversations with women in wealth tech. So our topic for today is growth. And we all think about growth in a few different lenses, one being inorganic and organic growth. And we're going to talk about each one of those individually. But I want to start us on this topic of prioritizing and balancing both inorganic growth and organic growth at your firms. And Shannon, I'm going to start with you because Beacon Pointe is really well known for the volume of acquisitions and inorganic growth you do, and also really well respected for your organic growth strategies, largely grounded in homegrown content. As the leader of Beacon Pointe, how do you think about prioritizing both and balancing both inorganic and organic growth?
Yeah, thank you. I would say the way we prioritize is really not an either or decision. It's really about creating synergies between the two. So each strategy, inorganic and organic, plays a critical role in the overall growth of the business. But I would say is if you look at the business overall, and yes, you're not wrong. We've done a lot of transactions, inorganic transactions, and brought on a lot of firms across our organization. But I would say the heartbeat of the firm and where you find true value in the organization is organic growth, right? Because if we can't produce organic growth and have and help firms excel at growth, we're not going to have the inorganic growth. Mm-hmm. So organic growth is foundational to our organization. And I would also say that having the growth culture across the organization is extremely important. So we look at growth as the key driver of success in the business, because if you're not growing, the old adage is if you're not growing, you're dying, right? And we have to grow, in our opinion, we have to grow in double digits every year, or we can't hire and attract the best talent and invest in the best technology systems. Additionally, is if we're not growing, we know that we feel we're not providing the right services to clients, because firms, are going to look out for your firm if you're doing the right thing and providing the right services. So I think, making sure you have the right platform, growth begets growth for sure, but making sure that you have the right tools and resources for your advisors is critical for the success of organic growth. Yeah. But you can't have inorganic growth if you don't have organic growth, right? Because you're not going to attract those types of firms that want to continue to grow.
I love that.
I agree with that as well, Shannon. You do have to have both, and certainly as a board member, we look at both certainly at Genstar as well. Even when we're looking at acquiring new companies, foundationally, I think it looks like an unhealthy business if you don't have that organic growth component. But I will say that certainly when I look at firms like Cetera and also Cerity Partners, we have different teams focused on each. And so we've got, our M&A teams focused solely on M&A. And to your point, we're not going to be successful there if we don't have the organic growth components and proof points for those firms to feel like they're going to find a good home. But certainly finding that focus on both, having the teams working solely on M&A and then having the teams work on organic growth we have found to be extremely important. And firms like Cetera, for example, have put in really cool technology platforms and account opening and client onboarding platforms that allow for clients to feel really special and unique and loved, honestly. And, obviously one of the major keys to organic growth is having those clients send you referrals. And I think that's been a big part of the success, not only with Cetera and showing those advisors the love and therefore them being able to show their clients the love because we're kind of once removed. And also with Cerity Partners, where you have, like Shannon said, the right products, the right team in place and the right service in place to really be able to have those kind of like thrilled clients that want to give you referrals.
Well, Lori, you bring up a really, really good point. And I tell this to people because and I think this is where prioritization comes into play, is everybody, you get in a room and you're on a panel and we're talking about inorganic growth, and you have people raise their hands in the audience who wants to attract firms to their organization, Well, everybody does.
Yeah.
Right. But it can't be an afterthought. So your point of making sure that you've got a team or at least a person that's solely focused on inorganic growth, or as well as organic growth. Obviously, organic growth permeates the entire organization, but having somebody solely focused on the inorganic growth and their team is critical. It can't be, we're going to do inorganic growth just because we're in the business. It doesn't work that way. And what we've found is it's not successful. So we have, and I think it's got to be a senior person within the organization, a partner in the organization that can speak to other partners and other organizations about the experience of, folding a firm in.
They really do go hand in hand, in my opinion. You both talked about if you don't have the organic growth, it's harder to attract talent to your firm because they're looking for that. But I would also say the retention piece of that is critical, because if you're not fostering that organic growth and you don't have people dedicated to building those programs and helping your financial professionals grow, you're going to have retention issues. And then you're putting that much more pressure on your firm to increase inorganic growth just to keep up with the pace of where you need to be to hit your own firm growth goals.
Yeah. And one other thread I'd pull on this is inorganic growth allows for scale and creating operational efficiencies through the organization. So many firms, we find that many firms that seek Beacon Pointe out or that choose to partner with Beacon Pointe is they've maxed out on likely organic growth, right? Because they're doing too many things. So they don't have those operational efficiencies in place or don't have the tools or the dedicated resources. So there are a lot of benefits to inorganic growth as well for the total organization.